Naruto and Sasuke pressed their hands against opposite sides of Kaguya Otsutsuki's body, Naruto with the sun seal, Sasuke with the moon seal. The ancient technique began to activate, locking once more the rabbit goddess, the origin of all chakra, within a prison of sealing. The crimson third eye upon her forehead slowly disappeared, replaced by markings shaped like a sun and crescent moon. Her voice tore through the dimension in a piercing scream as her form swelled unnaturally. Her immense robes stretched outward, consumed by pale flesh, and she ceased resembling anything human at all. The battlefield itself began to shatter. The red earth cracked apart as colossal fragments of stone were dragged toward Kaguya's expanding form, condensing into an enormous mass. A celestial sphere was forming around her, a mountain-sized planetoid of stone and chakra. From Kaguya's warped body, 10 monstrous tails sprouted. 9 of them suddenly tore free, reverting back into the familiar shapes of the tailed beasts. Colors returned to their bodies. Shukaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, Kokuo, Seiken, Chomai, Juki, and finally Kurama. Relief surged through Naruto as he saw them all together again. Despite how many times he had fought to free them, witnessing their liberation brought him joy every time. That joy was cut short as the newly formed planetoid continued to grow. Thousands of crimson boulders, each the size of houses, slammed together until the sphere became larger than a mountain. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura needed to escape fast. Naruto was mid-leap when exhaustion caught up to him. His chakra cloak flickered and vanished, his reserves drained. As he thought about reuniting with the yang half of Kurama, a massive slab of stone shifted directly into his path. Before he could react, it collided with him. Pain exploded in his head then, nothing but darkness. The darkness lingered even after he regained consciousness. There was no sky, no ground, just endless black. Not even the green sky of Kaguya's dimension was present. Where am I? Naruto thought. He blinked, but the world didn't change. Panic flared. "Don't tell me I went blind," he shouted. His voice echoed endlessly until he covered his ears. At least the echo confirmed something. Wherever he was, the space was vast and hollow. He decided to test his sight. Gathering chakra in his palm, Naruto spun it into a familiar shape. A bright sphere of energy flared to life, illuminating his surroundings. The glow was blindingly clear, so clear he had to shield his eyes. Relief washed over him. He wasn't blind. His eyes still worked. The problem wasn't his vision, but the strange prison of endless dark around him. Using the glowing Rasengan like a torch, Naruto started forward. His footsteps echoed against something smooth beneath him. Stone. A realization hit him. "Wait, did I get sealed inside something?" he yelled again, instantly regretting it as the echo pounded back at him. He forced himself still, perfectly motionless. Drawing in natural energy, his body shifted into sage mode. Through enhanced senses, he felt the truth. A gargantuan stone sphere surrounded him. Not merely mountain-sized, but perhaps as large as a country. And he was trapped at its center. Of course, the sealing jutsu. That's what had happened. Team 7 had planned to return from Kaguya's dimension, but now he had no idea how. Without teleportation ninjutsu or a summoning link, escape seemed impossible. Sasuke had once summoned a hawk within the lava dimension. Maybe he could have tried reverse summoning himself through the toads. Gamakichi, Gamabunta, they might have been able to pull him out. He'd take their mockery if it meant freedom. Naruto bit his thumb, slammed his hand down, and pushed chakra into a summoning seal. Nothing happened. He tried again, still nothing, not even smoke. What? It's not working. His stomach sank. The stone prison cut off summoning entirely. "Oi, Kurama, you there?" Naruto called desperately. "I'm here," the fox's deep voice rumbled, making Naruto sigh with relief. Kurama, however, sounded annoyed. "Kinda dumb question. If I wasn't here, you'd be dead already." Naruto chuckled nervously. Right. So how do we get out of here?" "I don't know," Kurama said flatly. His eyes were sharp, deadly serious. Naruto froze. "Huh, what do you mean you don't know?" "This seal was crafted by the Sage of Six Paths himself. We don't have a way to break it," Kurama explained, grimly certain. Naruto's mind raced. "But wait, Obito could summon the Jido statue, right? Why can't we do something like that?" "They had the Rinnegan," Kurama replied simply. "You don't." The weight of reality hit Naruto. Without Rinnegan, summoning out or being summoned was impossible. Even if Sasuke summoned the statue, there was no guarantee Naruto would be pulled out with it. For all he knew, his friends had already escaped or vanished. Naruto clenched his fists. No way he was giving up here. Shadow Clone Jutsu! Dozens of Narutos erupted into being. Each one gathered 6 paths Sage Chakra into Rasengan and slammed them against the stone. The ground trembled under the force of so many spiraling spheres, but when the smoke cleared, not a single scratch marred the walls of the prison. The clones dispersed, drained. Naruto stood alone again, chest heaving. Not even a dent, he muttered, frustration building. He had thought the 6 paths chakra would give him an edge against the seal, but as he brooded, Kurama's deep laughter rumbled through his mind. Naruto snapped. "What's so funny, huh? You don't have his power anymore," Kurama said, his voice sharp with mockery. "Look at your hand." Naruto focused inward. The truth was clear. While he still carried fragments of each tailed beast, the vast well of chakra from the Sage of 6 Paths was gone. The gift had faded with the battle's end. "So summoning won't work, and we're low on chakra," Naruto muttered. "But I still have what's left of the 6 Paths power. If I keep building chakra, we'll break out." "That's the plan, right?" "That's not the real issue. This jutsu doesn't fade away, it's one of those eternal types. Once cast, it never disperses. This prison will stand for eternity," Kurama explained. Naruto's mind drifted back, replaying past battles. He recalled the fight with Killer Bee against Nagato and Itachi. Nagato had nearly sealed them within a standard planetary devastation, but they managed to break free. By combining his Rasen Shuriken with Bee's tailed Beast Bomb and Itachi's Susanoo, they shattered the core and escaped. "The core," Naruto muttered as clarity struck him. "You've got it. The heart of this jutsu lies in the Jido statue," Kurama confirmed. As long as that statue remained untouched, escape was impossible. The cruel irony wasn't lost on Naruto. He and Kurama had battled through endless struggles, united for freedom, their own and that of all the other tailed beasts. Yet now, here they were, locked inside the very kind of prison they had resisted for so long. Naruto scowled, lost in uncertainty. What could he do? Was there even an option? He couldn't sense Sasuke anymore, or Sakura, or Kakashi. Had they escaped? Did they manage to break the infinite Tsukuyomi? Were they out there saving everyone, or had everything been lost? He had no way of knowing, but giving in wasn't an option. That wasn't him. Even if surrender might have been the rational choice, trusting his comrades to find a solution while he remained imprisoned, his heart rebelled against it. His dream was still alive. He had promised himself he would become Hokage, to see with his own eyes the peace they had bled and sacrificed for. He still needed to see his friends again. Hinata, she would be worrying about him now, he was sure of it. He couldn't break the vow he'd made, to never quit no matter what. So he sat cross-legged, perfectly still, and began drawing in chakra and nature energy, faster and faster. He refilled what he had just burned through and pushed beyond, stockpiling until his body brimmed with power. Kurama watched, curious, then silently lent his own strength. Their shared form became a vessel for immense energy, his blue eyes morphing into gold with cross-shaped pupils. Not Sage Mode this time, 6 Paths Sage Mode. Eventually, Naruto hit his limit, though it was far beyond what most could even dream of. His chakra reserves dwarfed most shinobis. Kakashi had once said his was hundreds of times larger, and that was years ago. At this point, Naruto's presence rivaled that of a beast itself. He could have formed a giant avatar to gather more, but in this cramped space, it wasn't worth the risk. Instead, he stood and began to walk. "What exactly are you scheming?" Kurama asked, though he already suspected the answer. "There's still one thing I can try," Naruto replied, heading straight for the planetoid's center, where a dark, oppressive energy radiated. "You've got to be kidding me," Kurama muttered, though the fragments of the other beasts echoed the same concern. Naruto's plan risked undoing everything the Sage of 6 Paths had entrusted them with. To the others, a little confinement wasn't that unbearable. They'd endured it for centuries. But they could all feel Naruto's resolve. They knew he wasn't acting for himself alone. He had sworn to free them, to keep his word, and no fear or danger would sway him. "Sorry, Kurama. Sorry, everyone. But I'm not walking away without trying," Naruto said firmly as he neared the statue. This is going to kill us, Kurama sighed. Maybe, but I have to. He stopped at the statue's base, placing his hand on its massive foot, then began to climb. This is the dumbest idea yet, Juki grumbled. Worse than anything any Jinchuriki has ever pulled, Shukaku snorted. Even the Monkey King wouldn't attempt this, Son Goku added. Naruto silently agreed it was reckless, but his body moved anyway, carrying him upward. Their insults rolled off him like wind against stone. Then, in a rare moment of practicality, Chomai spoke up. Why not just fly instead of climbing? Naruto froze mid-motion, face completely blank. This one, the other beasts groaned in unison. Without a word, he lifted into the air, floating toward the statue's gaping maw. His chakra cloaked him in black robes edged with gold. With careful control, he drew on the fragments of chakra the beasts entrusted to him. He didn't need much from each. After all, a single tentacle had once revived the 10 tails. Despite their protests, they lent him strength. Understanding words wouldn't change his resolve. His plan was simple: merge the fragments, recreate the 10 tails within the seal, and shift the prison's core. Then, using the sage's technique, he would separate them again. Risky? Absolutely. But possible. Taking a steady breath, Naruto channeled their chakra. The energy leapt into the statue, and the monstrous eyes opened. Its body trembled violently, chakra surging as the form began to twist. Naruto didn't hesitate. He pressed his hands to its flesh, invoking yin-yang release. Just like with Kakashi-sensei's eye, just like reviving Gai-sensei's heart, I can do this, he told himself. The statue writhed, shrinking and reshaping. Its roar cut short as the technique consumed it, reducing its form rapidly. For a moment, it seemed to be working, until Naruto noticed something strange. The creature had condensed not into massive beasts, but into a small, glowing sphere. Too tiny to house even one-tailed beast. His first thought that it was an egg for their rebirth vanished as the sphere shrank further, reshaping. Arms, legs, a human form. Alarm bells thundered in Naruto's chest as recognition hit him. The sphere had become someone all too familiar. Crap, Naruto hissed, quickly shifting into a defensive stance. The figure before him was terrifyingly familiar. Her hair, pale as silver, cascaded endlessly down her frame, brushing the ground as if it had no end. A flowing gown, patterned with streaks of violet and gold, wrapped around her tall, pale body. Horns marked her inhuman heritage. This was no illusion. This was Kaguya Otsutsuki, reborn once more into the world. Naruto held his distance, determined not to let her ensnare him again. His hands flew together in practiced rhythm, filling the battlefield with shadow clones, each glowing faintly with Kurama's power. Kaguya stirred, her heavy lids rising to reveal the Byakugan. At first her senses felt muted, ears ringing, body slow, but in seconds her chakra settled, her strength returning. The darkness surrounding her gave no comfort, so she pushed her Dijutsu to full focus. That was when she noticed him. The golden-haired boy who had helped imprison her not long ago. Naruto Uzumaki, Asura's reincarnation. Glowing faintly like a star in the void, he stood prepared. But where was Indra's vessel? Why had only Asura's heir been brought here? And how was she revived without Black Zetsu to guide her? Questions flooded her mind, but one fact was clear. Naruto no longer carried her son's chakra. Without it, he could not seal her away again. To Kaguya, he looked more like prey than threat. With that thought, she lunged, only for her body to crash into the stone floor as though gravity had snapped her down mid-flight. She tumbled, sliding awkwardly along the rock. Naruto's 6 glowing clones stared wide-eyed at the sight. Anyone else might have laughed, but Naruto stayed grim. Instead, he seized the chance to strike. Kaguya rose quickly, dodging the first kick and nearly avoiding the Rasengan from the second clone, only for it to smash against her back, driving her into the ground. Furious, she erupted with a storm of chakra fists, scattering the attackers. Naruto's breath caught. That actually worked. He remembered needing overwhelming power just to scratch her before, 9 Rasen Shuriken, and even then she had endured. But now she seemed weaker, slower. As his clones lit up the space with their golden glow, he noticed something crucial. The third eye on her forehead was gone. Her Rin-Sharingan, it's sealed. Naruto felt a rush of relief. Then why isn't she draining more chakra from the people caught in infinite Tsukuyomi? He realized the truth in a heartbeat. The genjutsu must have been undone. Everyone's free. The thought filled him with hope, but he didn't have time to linger. Kaguya retaliated with bone spears, piercing two of his clones. Instead of rotting away like before, they simply burst into smoke. Even she seemed surprised. Naruto smirked. If she can't use her space-time jutsu or those Rinnegan powers, then this fight just tilted in my favor. Channeling Kurama's chakra, Naruto created more clones. Dozens swarmed Kaguya, while 8 remained beside him. "All right, just like before," he ordered. In his palm swirled a crimson Rasengan. His clones mirrored him, forming spheres infused with the essence of other tailed beasts. They charged, zigzagging around a storm of hair needles and spears. One clone nearly slammed a flame-wreathed Rasengan into her face, forcing Kaguya to leap back, only to be snared by her own Byakugan awareness. She hurled 2 clones away, but 3 more dropped upon her from above. "Enough!" she shrieked, her voice layered with chakra, exploding like a sonic boom. The clones faltered, and in the next instant, a barrage of bone projectiles shredded them all. Naruto cursed under his breath. She was recovering. "You dare oppose me again, Asura's reincarnation?" Kaguya hissed, fury burning in her pale eyes. "You cannot triumph alone." "No," Naruto shot back, fists tightening, "I'm never alone. And I refuse to lose when people are waiting for me to come home." He surged forward, fist blazing with golden power. Kaguya met him head-on, her own chakra fists colliding with his. The clash tore through the cavern, shaking the very walls. Their punches broke mountains in the distance, carved rivers into the stone. In the end, both struck each other squarely, crashing into opposite sides of the enclosure. Naruto groaned as he pulled himself from the crater. "She's still ridiculously strong. But I can feel it. She's burning through chakra fast." Kurama's deep voice rumbled inside him. "So are we. You're not using the Sage of 6 Paths power anymore, and most of our reserves are gone." "Already?" Naruto muttered. "Whatever comes next will be our final shot. Don't waste it." Naruto nodded. "Got it. Time to end this." He formed a cross with his fingers, summoning another wave of clones into a haze of smoke. Kaguya ripped herself from the wall, narrowing her eyes at the shifting fog. Before she could fully scan with her Byakugan, Naruto shot forward, cloaked in steam like a comet's tail. In his hand burned another Rasengan. She hurled a bone spear straight at his skull. To her shock, Naruto didn't block, he took the hit. His head burst apart, body dissolving into smoke. But the Rasengan didn't vanish. It transformed into another Naruto mid-flight. "Shadow Clone Jutsu." Dozens of voices roared at once. The new wave of Naruto's blurred, their shapes morphing in front of her horrified eyes. When the smoke cleared, she stood surrounded, not by warriors, but by a dazzling array of impossibly handsome men. Their perfect smiles and confident poses shattered her focus. If Black Zetsu had been present, he would have screamed in shame. The dreaded sexy jutsu working again. From behind the distraction, the real Naruto sprang forward, seizing Kaguya's arms. He rammed his forehead into hers with a resounding crack. The illusions vanished, clones flickering out one by one as their chakra was spent. When the light cleared, only Naruto remained. His cloak was gone, his body shaking with exhaustion. He had Kaguya pinned, but he was back to nothing more than himself. Naruto winced, glaring at the situation. "You've got to be kidding me. Get off me!" Kaguya shrieked, unleashing a violent burst of chakra that blasted Naruto backward, finally tearing herself free. Naruto hit the ground hard several meters away, his body aching, his breath ragged, but his spirit unyielding. "You, with that revolting trick of yours." Kaguya spat through shallow, desperate breaths, blood trickling down from her nose. "How dare you use my chakra for that cursed ability?" "Your chakra," Naruto yelled back, pushing himself up despite the pain. "Just 'cause you ate that fruit doesn't make it all yours. Your son gave chakra to the people. It belongs to everyone, not you." "His chakra is mine," Kaguya screeched, stumbling forward with shaky steps. "He was never meant to discover it, much less spread it. Instead, he betrayed me, giving power to worthless humans, and what has it brought? Nothing but chaos." Her knees nearly buckled as she fell closer to Naruto. She was as drained as he was, yet she still pressed on stubbornly. "You should have just slept forever. Then you'd all finally know peace," she whispered, reaching him. Her hand twitched, forming the beginnings of a bone spear, but instead, all she managed was a weak slap across his cheek. Naruto barely flinched, Sakura had hit him far harder before. None of you ever understood. Not even my sons, Kaguya panted, droplets of sweat or maybe tears falling onto his face as she trembled. Huh, Naruto muttered, caught off guard. They turned on me. I needed to, I wanted to, but it's too late, isn't it? Kaguya murmured, her gaze unfocused. Her words were aimed at him, but she wasn't really speaking to him. What are you even talking about? Naruto asked, confusion written across his face. Suddenly, she snapped back to reality, clutching her mouth as if terrified of her own confession. Her expression was a mess of sorrow, fear, and exhaustion. Naruto could sense the weight of her emotions, yet the bloodlust from earlier was gone. She wasn't trying to fight anymore. You know, there's no point, she whispered, her voice breaking. No point in what? Naruto pressed, inching closer. Stay away from me, she shouted but didn't strike. Because of you know, because of all of you I've failed. I failed everyone. Naruto stared at her, his voice softening. You just wanted peace, didn't you? Groans echoed inside his head, Kurama and the other tailed beasts clearly unimpressed with his attempts at talking things out. Naruto grimaced but ignored them. I still want to hear it. You must have cared about people once. What happened to you? He asked. Kaguya shook her head, bitter and tired. There's no reason to tell you. Humans only know conflict you can't understand. Tell me anyway, Naruto pushed. Don't underestimate us. Me, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi-sensei, even Obito, we all fought and beat you together, didn't we? Her eye twitched, but she spoke nonetheless, unable to hold her silence. Chakra corrupts when shared. It fuels greed, competition. Only by keeping it within myself could I shield everyone, protect them. But my sons betrayed me, they spread chakra to the world. And what became of it? Endless wars. You're right, we fight, Naruto admitted. But we fight to protect the people and things we love. That's not greed, that's who we are. Kaguya's voice trembled with anger, but it sounded hollow. And what has your fighting brought? History filled with blood, villages destroyed, families torn apart. What have you built that I couldn't have given alone? Naruto's lips curled into a heavy smile, one burdened by loss but still genuine. We've built bonds, we've learned from each other. We've stood side by side, even with people who were once enemies. That's something real, not a dream someone forces on us. You lie, Kaguya sneered. Shinobi only ever unite out of fear. Already they've returned to their wars. After everything, you think we'd go back to that? No way. We've chosen to protect each other, no matter what village we're from. Peace isn't just a dream anymore, it's real. And even if it isn't perfect yet, we'll make it real. She folded her arms, scowling like a scolding parent. Misguided ideals, that's all you have. Your so-called peace is no different from the dream I gave humanity. Naruto shook his head firmly. No, ours isn't an illusion. It's real, and it doesn't need a god to force it on us. And yet you worshipped my son's power, she shot back sharply. The comment made Naruto pause. He wasn't religious. He'd never cared much for gods or deities until Kurama had called the 10 Tails a god not long ago. The sage of 6 paths was respected, sure, but worshipped? Hardly. Look, if it weren't for that black blob that calls you mother, we wouldn't have had half as many problems. He manipulated everyone just to bring you back. He even made the sage's kids fight each other. Kaguya's brow twitched, her eyes flickering away in shame. Naruto caught it instantly and smirked. What's wrong, oh great goddess? He asked with mockery. You're every bit as irritating as Black Zetsu said, she muttered bitterly. Naruto stepped back a little, folding his arms. Believe what you want, but I'll prove to you we don't need your fake peace. Her eyes widened. What? After all you've endured fighting me, now you offer me a place in the very world that belongs to me. You aren't Asura reborn, you're pure nonsense. Do you even know how you're going to escape this space? Naruto brushed her hand off his chest, smirking. Simple, we break out. Sasuke summoned that hawk of his, so I'll just call a toad. Easy. And how do you escape my son's seal? She asked, her voice almost mocking. Naruto plopped down cross-legged. That seal's gone. I just need to charge up a little chakra. My chakra, she corrected instantly. Seriously, give it a rest. You sound like a spoiled kid whining over toys. To his surprise, Kaguya didn't attack. Maybe she was too exhausted, or maybe she was curious what he'd do. Either way, Naruto wasn't about to drop his guard. He entered 6 paths sage mode, gathering energy carefully. Minutes later, he stood, creating several clones. Half of them sat back down to keep building up chakra, while the rest got ready to act. "All right, let's dig our way out," Naruto called, and his clones echoed with their usual enthusiasm. Each formed oversized Rasengan, slamming them against the wall. A sudden crack echoed as one clone felt the barrier finally give way. Cheers erupted among the others as they lined up, continuing the work. "See. With the seal gone, we'll dig through in an hour, maybe less," Naruto said, though his tone dipped with impatience. Kaguya raised an eyebrow. "Such a clumsy method. You hold the elements in your hands, shape a tunnel with your will rather than clawing like a beast." Naruto blinked. He'd never thought of that. Ever since gaining 6 Paths Sage Mode, he could sense the essence of all elements, even if wind was his specialty. He'd never tried Earth Release before, though. He signaled his clones to stop. Placing his palms against the ground, he pushed chakra into it. The sensation reminded him of splitting a waterfall with raw chakra. It came naturally, easier than he expected. The earth shifted, forming a wide corridor that stretched farther and farther. Within minutes, the tunnel punched through to the other side. I didn't even realize I could pull that off. No hand seals at all," Naruto muttered, surprise and pride mixing in his voice. For a second, he actually felt good about himself. He knew he'd never weave signs as quickly as Kakashi could, but now it didn't matter. Naruto didn't need them. Truth be told, he never grew too attached to them anyway. Most of the techniques he liked using were ones that worked without a ton of signs. Shadow Clone was one of the few exceptions, and even that required just one. Still, he wasn't about to let that stop him from bragging. That's because Indra was the one who relied on those foolish gestures to manage his chakra. Kaguya spoke with a voice dripping in superiority, as though she were lecturing a child. "Oi, hand signs aren't dumb. Loads of awesome jutsu are made with them. Bet you can't even do shadow clones like me, and that's just one sign." Kaguya let out an unimpressed scoff. She moved ahead of Naruto, casually waving her hand. Instantly, the tunnel Naruto had created doubled in size. His excitement immediately dimmed, like someone poured cold water over him. "I have no need for such hollow copies. I alone am more than enough. And really, who are you to praise those seals when you hardly use them yourself? Neither you nor Indra's reincarnation bothered with such things when facing me. You've already embraced Shinjutsu, you simply don't realize it yet." "Shin what now?" Naruto blinked, the word bouncing off his ears like a foreign language. "The art of my bloodline," Kaguya replied smoothly, arrogance painted on her face. "Shaping chakra without those clumsy signs your kind relies on. A whole clan of yours can do that," Naruto frowned. "So you're not the only one like this, a whole bunch of monsters. How insulting." Kaguya's eyes flashed as she snapped at him. "I am not a monster. I am a mother, a guardian, a being far greater than what you imagine. The title of monster belongs to those who deserve even less than me." Naruto narrowed his eyes. So she didn't really like her own people much, huh? "So, you're not the origin of chakra itself. Not the very first Otsutsuki. On this world I am. Now enough of this chatter, the air here grows stale." She turned her back, walking ahead without waiting. Naruto followed quickly. She wasn't rushing, just moving at a slow, calm pace, clearly trying to conserve her energy. For a split second, he thought about asking why she didn't just stop and recharge properly, but even he wasn't dumb enough to push that. The last thing he needed was to tempt her patience. Then, without warning, Naruto swooped her up. A golden chakra arm stretched from him, gripping her by the waist. She gave a startled yelp, surprisingly human, as the boy floated them both forward at high speed. The sluggish walk instantly became a blur, cutting the journey down to minutes instead of endless hours. "Release me at once. I will not be carried in such a humiliating way," Kaguya shrieked, thrashing against the grip like royalty offended at being touched. "It's faster than walking, isn't it?" Naruto shot back, pretending he didn't hear her outrage. Part of him was already second-guessing this decision. He had no clue what she'd do once they reached Konoha. He just had to trust that he and Sasuke could hold her back if she tried anything reckless. And then, at last, light. Real, natural light, not something he made with chakra. The tunnel's end widened, rays of brightness flooding in. His heart pounded. He leaned forward, accelerating, desperate to escape this suffocating prison. 3, 2, 1, yes. Naruto burst out into open space, grinning so wide it hurt. He gulped down fresh air, cool and crisp, so much better than the icy void they'd left behind. He let it fill every corner of his lungs. Freedom felt incredible. Even though they hadn't been trapped for that long, the very idea of confinement made his skin crawl. Now, surrounded by a strange green sky and barren red rock, he was still technically in one of Kaguya's dimensions, but at least it wasn't crushing him. No clouds, no rivers, no signs of life, just emptiness. Bland, sure, but not outright hostile. He even thought for a moment that with a bit of soil and water this place could support life someday. Floating midair, Naruto finally turned around to see what he and Sasuke had managed to seal. His jaw dropped. The colossal sphere stretched out in every direction. From his point of view, it was endless, like staring down from a mountaintop into infinity. Even Madara's massive meteorites looked like pebbles compared to this. The sheer scale was mind-blowing. He let himself feel proud for just a moment, until Kaguya's voice shattered it. "I said put me down." Her roar came with a crushing wave of malice, followed by an invisible pressure that felt like being punched everywhere at once. His six paths cloak softened the impact, but it still knocked the breath from him. Crap. He'd gotten too caught up in the moment and forgotten he was treating the rabbit goddess like a toy. Naruto quickly descended. He didn't want to just drop her, but he also didn't want another hit like that. Gently, he lowered her until her feet touched solid ground. Her glare could have burned holes through him. "See, we got out. Just like I said." Naruto smirked as he landed beside her. Kaguya scoffed, back turned to him, the titanic seal looming behind her. "And you return me only to another of my realms. Do you expect gratitude for such an incomplete effort?" "Of course we're not done yet," Naruto huffed, crossing his arms. "Man, this is what I get for helping out an old hag. Help!" Her tone sharpened like a blade. "I'll overlook your insult, but what help do you think you've given me? None of this would exist without you and your brother." She jabbed a finger at him, fury simmering beneath her words. Naruto batted her hand aside, scanning the barren terrain. No signs of life, no allies, nothing. Everyone else really was gone. He turned back to her, ready to speak, but stopped when he caught her sighing heavily, eyes darkened with frustration. "What's got you so bent out of shape?" he asked, tilting his head. "The divine tree, I cannot feel its chakra. Why, what happened?" she muttered to herself. Naruto's grin returned. "Easy, Sasuke must have freed everyone from it. No way you're turning my friends into white Zetsu again. Foolish child. Without the tree, the chakra I require will never return. You've undone my son's seal, but we remain prisoners here." Her voice dripped with irritation. "Why not just build up chakra yourself? You've got all the time in the world." Naruto shrugged. She shot him a look, sharp and sarcastic. "Do your eyes fail you? Do you see a divine tree here?" Naruto clenched his fists. "You don't need a stupid tree for that. I made chakra on my own, and I'm no farmer or gardener." For once, Kaguya didn't respond. Silence fell between them. Naruto could practically hear the gears grinding in her head. And then it hit him, she actually didn't know how. "You seriously don't know how to gather chakra without that thing?" he asked, half shocked, half amused. Even animals could manage it. Akamaru sure could. Her lack of denial said everything. "I am an Otsutsuki. My kind operates differently from humans. Our ways, our powers, even our needs are not the same." She spoke without her usual mocking edge this time. It sounded almost like an admission. Naruto frowned. "So your clan never bothered teaching you how to build chakra on your own, just how to steal it with those trees?" "My clan has countless ways of harvesting chakra," she admitted softly. "But your method is not one of them." Naruto almost pitied her then. A race that powerful, yet so dependent on taking instead of creating. It was a messed up way to live. "Fine then," Naruto said, dropping onto the ground cross-legged. "I'll teach you before we head back. Use those Byakugan of yours, 'cause I'm not great at explaining stuff." Kaguya's pale eyes widened, veins flaring as she activated them. She studied him carefully. The steady rhythm of his breath, the calm flow of energy through his network, the way each inhale seemed to pull in more chakra little by little. She watched, listened, analyzed, his lungs, his heart, the balance within his body. Slowly, she began to piece it together. At last, Kaguya lowered herself beside him, sitting gracefully as she mirrored his posture, ready to try for herself. Naruto's gaze was locked on Kaguya, and hers met his in turn. At first, he noticed how awkward she seemed, almost like a beginner trying something for the first time. But that hesitation didn't last long. Even though this was her first attempt at gathering chakra by herself, she was already adapting at a rapid pace. Naruto could feel her chakra swelling steadily, and since he'd only done a small demonstration earlier, he could clearly sense the widening gap between their pools. Still, it wasn't anywhere near the overwhelming pace she'd shown when she was first resurrected. Of course, comparing the efforts of one individual gathering chakra to absorbing it from countless people all at once was ridiculous to begin with. "I see, but it's too slow," Kaguya finally said, confirming exactly what Naruto had been expecting. She stood, rising with a graceful but irritated air. "It would take far too long to restore my true power. Still, I'll admit, it's a desperate but useful measure, more than enough against the weaker ones of your kind." "Hey, don't go insulting us just because we don't have chakra on your level," Naruto shot back sharply. "We've got plenty of techniques and strategies you couldn't even dream of, so don't look down on shinobi." Kaguya tilted her head, her superiority showing in every word. "Your jutsu exist only because of your weakness. My clan's arts are the fruit of true power, techniques that cannot be replicated by others so easily. Each is tied to its creator and cannot be stolen. That is the fundamental difference between your ninjutsu and my shinjutsu." "Oh yeah," Naruto challenged, narrowing his eyes. "Let's see how your so-called shinjutsu works without stealing chakra from everyone else. I don't need to prove myself to a mere child, but I will make an exception for my grandson's reincarnation. Watch carefully and experience true power," Kaguya declared coldly. She lifted her hands and pressed them together. Chakra surged through her body, condensing between her palms into a growing gap of pure energy. It wasn't elemental, wasn't shaped by body or mind, just raw, untouched chakra. It was what few shinobi recognized as the legendary yin-yang release. Between her hands, a black speck appeared, no larger than a grape at first, but slowly expanding. Naruto quickly figured out what it was. Few things could form from yin-yang release like that. Moments later, the shape solidified into a truth-seeking orb. It wasn't immense or constantly shifting, but it was identical to the orbs that hovered behind Naruto himself. Seeing it created before his eyes was almost awe-inspiring. He finally understood what he had only wondered before, why only those tied to the Ten-Tails could wield them. The answer was clear now. They were Kaguya's creation. "So that's how they're made," Naruto said with amazement. "But then, what about Gramps? Did you give him his? And me, Abido Madara, how did we get ours?" Kaguya frowned slightly, unimpressed. "Truth-seeking orbs are my shinjutsu, formed from my chakra. What do you think allowed your kind to borrow them?" "Oh, right," Naruto muttered, the realization hitting him. The common link was the Ten-Tails, and the Ten-Tails was Kaguya herself. "Do you see now the vast gulf between us? How many among your kind could ever create even a single orb like this?" Kaguya asked, smugly moving the orb without touching it. "We've had plenty of shinobi who could do things no one else could," Naruto shot back. "The first Hokage could control forests, and nobody else managed that." "And how was this Hokage viewed? As ordinary or something far above your kind?" she pressed, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. "That doesn't matter," Naruto barked. "What makes someone amazing isn't being untouchable, it's how they use their power, how they make it their own. There are people who can do things your shinjutsu can't even match." Like this, Naruto formed a sign, but a sudden sting in his shoulder stopped him. He froze, glancing down to see a white needle lodged in his chakra point, the same attack she'd used against Sasuke. It didn't hurt much, but it stopped his jutsu cold. "Try that shameful trick again," Kaguya shouted, her usually pale face flushed with emotion, "and I will tear you apart, chakra or no chakra." Fine, whatever," Naruto scowled. "That was Pervy Sage's jutsu anyway. If you're going to show me something, then demonstrate how you enhance chakra with that strange energy of yours," Kaguya demanded, her eyes sharp. "Enhance," Naruto repeated. She couldn't mean the tailed beast's power, so she must have meant Sage Mode. "Wait, you mean natural energy?" "I mean the bizarre energy you mix with my chakra," she explained, her tone curious now. "That power that gives speech to beasts. It lets you harm me, even though you wield my own chakra. Otherwise, your strength should mean nothing to me." "It's not strange, it's natural energy," Naruto explained proudly. It's an incredible ability I mastered, and it saved me plenty of times. He pointed to his eyes, their cross-shaped pupils a sign of sage mode. Obvious. Then explain how you control it, Kaguya pressed. I don't think that's a good idea. Naruto scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Why not? She snapped, clearly offended. Because we're still enemies, Naruto yelled back. Just because we're stuck here doesn't make us allies. And I'm sure as hell not giving you something that'll just help you enslave everyone again. Then swear loyalty to me and teach me. You want me as your lackey? You're the one begging here. You should be calling me sensei. You are but a child, and you dare put yourself on my level. Talking like that is probably why your kids abandoned you in the first place. Both fell silent, staring each other down. Naruto wasn't eager for another fight, but he also wasn't about to give in. He could tell exactly why she wanted sage mode, for domination, just like before. To her, people were resources, not lives. He would never let her use it to trap his friends. He'd rather die 100 times than let her turn anyone into white Zetsu again. But why did she look shaken? Not furious, not violent, just upset. Was it what he'd said about her children? Naruto changed the subject, his tone calmer. When I get back, I'm going to be Hokage. I'll protect my village no matter what. So I can't hand over anything that'll help you destroy this world. Kaguya lowered her gaze, her voice softer. I must prepare this world for what is coming. I need chakra to protect humanity. Protect it from what? Space aliens or something? Naruto asked, suspicious. You were already terrifyingly strong, what could scare you? My clan, she answered. When they come, all will be lost. Naruto's eyes widened. Your clan. You mean more of them are coming here? And they are not as merciful as I, she admitted quietly. I hid this world, tried to shield it so I could prepare, but once they discover it, they will destroy what I hold dear. Wait, hide. Now you're saying you were against them. Weren't you just bragging about your clan? Naruto asked, frustrated. You dare demand answers while refusing me, Kaguya scolded coldly. So very short-sighted. Then how about this? You explain, and I'll give you a hint about natural energy. Do not attempt to bargain with me, child. If there is to be an agreement, it will be equal exchange. I reveal knowledge, and you share yours. Understood, she said, jabbing a finger into his face. Fine, whatever, Naruto swatted her hand away. Then start from the top. Who are you really? Where did your clan come from? And why are they after this world? Kaguya, after hearing Naruto accept their uneasy truce, allowed a faint trace of satisfaction to flicker across her expression. She exhaled slowly, though her breath carried the weight of constant irritation from being forced to converse with him. Still, if all it took to gain leverage over the mysterious force he and her son wielded was to recount the story of her clan, then the trade was acceptable. Knowledge alone would serve him little use. Out of courtesy, however, she swept her hand across the ground, and the stone beneath them rumbled. 2 seats of solid rock rose from the surface. She brushed her silken hair to the side and seated herself gracefully, leaving the other chair for Naruto. He hesitated, suspicion written on his face, as if expecting a trap. But despite his caution, Naruto couldn't sense any killing intent or malice directed at him. You wanted to hear from the very beginning, didn't you? Kaguya asked. Naruto studied her carefully, then gave a short nod before sitting down a couple of meters away. She cleared her throat, her tone solemn as she began. We are the Otsutsuki clan, and for countless generations, our purpose has been to obtain true eternity. Naruto tilted his head. But aren't you already immortal? Do not interrupt, it is discourteous, Kaguya snapped, though she quickly regained her calm. Yes, I cannot die easily, and once mortals revered me as a goddess, yet I am far from invincible. My clan's pursuit surpasses what I have achieved. We seek a state where strength never wanes, a form beyond weakness. That has been our mission for eons. Compared to this, the entire history of your shinobi world is but the blink of an eye. Naruto gave a groan-like grunt, urging her to move past the self-glorification. My clan scours the cosmos for worlds steeped in chakra. We plant divine trees to harvest that energy, shaping it into fruit we consume. Greater chakra leads to greater forms. That is the doctrine of the Otsutsuki. It is why I came to this land. It was unlike any other I had encountered, overflowing with power. Naruto frowned. So you just wander around stealing chakra from worlds so you can live longer? Kaguya's eyes narrowed. It is not about longevity, it is about becoming eternal. Imagine molding reality like clay in your hands. No hunger, no mortal body, no limits. That is the ideal. Then why hide this world instead of just draining it dry and moving on? Naruto pressed, unconvinced. If her goal was more strength, she could have consumed everything. Her gaze drifted. Because after repeating the harvest many times, I saw no true change. We grew stronger, yes, but never freed ourselves from the need for chakra. Even I must draw upon it before I act. But here, I discovered something unique. Some beings wielded strange powers yet had no chakra. I could not track them down, however. Naruto's thoughts jumped immediately to the toads. Even she couldn't find them. Was Mount Myaboku truly hidden that well? And that very power is what you've brought against me, she added. Then why didn't you just take it for yourself? Because the chakra fruits do not contain it, she said sharply. Oh, right. But hold on, Naruto shot upright, pointing accusingly. I've felt the 10 tails before. Kurama told me it's just one massive lump of natural energy. So the tree pulls it in but doesn't add it to the fruit. It would appear so. That is why I chose not to strip this planet bare. I wanted to study this force and master it. If I succeeded, my clan might finally reach our dream without condemning countless worlds. Naruto began piecing it together. If she destroyed the world, she'd lose the chance to learn about natural energy. But sparing it risked her clan's wrath. It reminded him of other clans with suffocating traditions. The Hyuga and their cursed branch system that Neji resented, or the Uchihas and their endless pride. She concealed this world much like Jiraiya Sensei hid behind excuses for his research. Her reasoning surprised him. Yes, it reeked of selfish ambition, but he also sensed genuine disappointment. Her voice grew faint, her head bowing slightly. I truly believed I had found the answer. Naruto realized she wasn't angry at him, she was angry at herself, bitter at her failure. He saw her wipe at her face, though she turned away so he couldn't see clearly. But was she truly wrong? Her clan's dream was to exist without bodies, immortal yet tangible, like souls that could still act in the living world. It sounded ridiculous, yet hadn't he seen glimpses of it already? Kakashi gained Obito's sharing in powers after his death. The Sage of Six Paths himself had appeared to Naruto and Sasuke, lending them unimaginable strength despite being long dead. Spirits that still touched reality, that was exactly what she had been chasing. Six Paths power, that was the key. As Naruto reached this conclusion, Kaguya's voice cut the silence. If your curiosity is satisfied, then honor our agreement. The atmosphere grew icy. Kaguya's gaze bored into him, sharp enough to sting even without her Byakugan active. You mean to tell me, she hissed, fists trembling with fury, that you, who hold the same essence as my son and wield the power I seek, cannot articulate how to share it? Naruto scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Well, school was never really my strong point, you know? He had entered sage mode countless times, so many that it felt natural, effortless. Six Paths sage mode worked the same way, except instead of blending nature's energy with his own chakra, he fused it with the tailed beasts. Kaguya had all that within her already. Explaining it in words? Impossible. Without the toad's guidance, their oil, their constant corrections, he would have failed miserably himself. If someone drew in too much natural energy, they'd turn into a frog, and not the smart kind like Fukasaku. Who would risk turning someone into that? So when Kaguya demanded he reveal his secret, he simply told her it couldn't be explained. You dare deceive me, Usura's reincarnation. Kaguya's voice shook with wrath. Do not think your lineage grants you mercy. Her fist lashed out, tearing through the empty space between them. Naruto barely registered before the colossal chakra strike smashed into his face. It wasn't as devastating as before, her weakened state dulled its force. It stung less than Sakura's slaps, but the shock of it left Naruto wide-eyed. The next pair of chakra-lace strikes she threw at him carried a little more force than before. They didn't hurt, Naruto could tank much worse, but it was starting to grate on him, and honestly, she had every reason to be pissed. Still, before she really lost it and started swinging harder, Naruto finally raised his voice. All right, hold on a sec, he blurted, lifting one hand like he was calling a timeout. It's not that I don't want to tell you, it's just that I'm not sure if it's something you could actually pull off. Kaguya froze mid-motion, narrowing her eyes. And what gives you the authority to assume that I cannot? Do you truly think yourself above me? Naruto winced, scratching his cheek. Look, it's not about that. I barely made it through the training myself. Nearly got killed more times than I can count. Starting from zero is dangerous. Dangerous? For you humans, perhaps. You forget that the feats you boast of are nothing but trifles to me. Naruto groaned. And there you go again with the I'm superior to everyone act. Seriously, how did anyone ever hold a conversation with you before? I'm actually trying to help here, you know. Then help me by showing me how to master that power, Kaguya snapped, her tone sharp and commanding. With it, I will safeguard this world against my kin. Naruto rubbed his temples. She was stubborn like him, but mixed with that Sasuke-like smugness, it was unbearable. Convincing her that natural energy wasn't something you just wing without the toads. Yeah, not happening. Wait! Naruto's eyes widened suddenly. That's it. Kaguya tilted her head. What nonsense are you babbling now? He remembered the backup plan, the one he'd shelved when Kaguya's insults derailed his thoughts. If the Otsutsuki really were coming, he needed to get out of this dimension and warn everyone. Maybe, just maybe, even Kaguya could be roped into helping, depending on what they were up against. Biting his thumb, Naruto drew blood and slammed his hand into the ground after weaving through a quick set of seals. Summoning jutsu! The ground lit up with ink-like markings, and smoke erupted around him. Kaguya instinctively stepped back, wariness flickering across her features. As the smoke cleared, Naruto stood atop Gamakichi, the oversized orange toad. Dressed in his usual jacket and bandages, blade in hand, stick in his mouth, he looked the same as when he last fought beside Naruto against the 10 Tails. Naruto, Gamakichi blurted, disbelief lacing his voice. But underneath it, relief, Naruto grinned wide. Yo, Gamakichi, man, it's good to see you again. The toad scanned the alien landscape, unease clear in his expression. His eyes landed on Kaguya and he went still. This ain't our world. Where the hell did you drag me? Relax, Naruto said, laughing nervously. What's the deal? You summoned me just to show off your new buddy, Gamakichi quipped, smirking. What? No way, Naruto barked back, full of energy as usual. I actually need a hand, been trapped here for a while. No kidding, nobody's heard a peep from you in over 2 weeks, Gamakichi replied, scratching at his chin. Naruto blinked. 2 weeks, seriously? Yep, ever since that pale freak we fought you vanished. Then the tailed beasts reappeared without you. Back home, people thought you were done for, even held a funeral. Glad to see they were wrong, though. I knew you'd make it. Naruto's chest tightened, but he smiled. Thanks, Gamakichi. You really know how to cheer a guy up. The thought that everyone believed him dead was heavy, but maybe it would make his return even more shocking. Kaguya's patience snapped. Why is this creature in my dimension? Gamakichi narrowed his eyes. Creature, lady, you're one to talk. What's with the horns? Naruto tensed, half expecting another brawl. But surprisingly, Kaguya let it slide. Gamakichi, Naruto leaned close to whisper, can you reverse summon us? To the hardest place to break out of you can manage. The toad frowned. I dunno, Naruto. Only place I could take you is MT. Mayaboku, that's fine, wait, why just there? Some weird stuff happened while you were gone. Pops and the elders locked down the whole mountain. None of us have been summoned anywhere since. Naruto frowned. What kind of weird stuff? No clue, but when I tried sensing outside, I felt something. Same kind of presence as that monster we fought, the 10 Tails. And I'm feeling it again, coming from her. He jabbed a thumb at Kaguya. You sure hanging around her is a good idea? Naruto froze. The 10 Tails, that doesn't make sense. Kaguya was right here. The beasts had been freed. That chakra shouldn't exist anymore. Shouldn't. Before he could puzzle it out, Gamakichi snapped his fingers. Oi, Naruto, Naruto blinked. Your new friend just flew off, Gamakichi shouted, pointing. What? After her, quick, Naruto ordered. In a few bounding leaps, they closed the distance. Kaguya had regained flight, but she was conserving energy, moving slower than she could have. Maybe gathering chakra while they talked. But where was she headed? Naruto's eyes widened. The massive void of energy in that direction, it was the remains of a truth-seeker orb. Even after weeks, it still leaked staggering amounts of chakra. If Kaguya absorbed it, she'd recover a huge portion of her strength. And then, she'd kill him, or worse, leave him stranded and come back later to finish the job. No way he could let that happen. Throw me, Naruto ordered. Gamakichi didn't hesitate, hurling Naruto through the air like a missile. Mid-flight, Naruto burst into his Kurama avatar and immediately multiplied it with shadow clones, each massive fox splitting off to siphon as much of the loose chakra as possible. If Kaguya wanted to feast, she'd have to compete. It turned into a race, her pulling chakra in while Naruto and his avatars drained it away. Even with 4 avatars and his own, he was barely holding even. Kurama's voice rumbled inside him. "This is bad, Naruto." "No kidding," Naruto grit his teeth. "I'll need to keep spawning more clones or I'll fall behind." "That won't work. No matter how many you make, her full power will eclipse a single avatar. All she needs is to crush them one by one." Naruto swallowed hard. "Then, we'll have to merge everything together before she makes her move." Kurama's tone was grim. "Can you withstand that much chakra in one body?" Naruto's grin was wild, reckless. "Heh, I've got an idea." Even with his words, Naruto kept drawing in chakra, forcing it into himself and into his countless shadow clones. As soon as one group began to falter, he made more, refusing to stop. The built-up chakra was overwhelming, so much so that dispersing the full clones too soon might have caused a dangerous backlash, maybe even blown him apart. He understood that risk well, but still, there was something in his eyes, confidence. Both of them could feel it. The land around them was being leached of its energy, leaving the air heavy and hollow. Kaguya had already recovered a terrifying portion of her power, many times greater than what she held just moments ago, though still not equal to her original strength. For that, she had Naruto to thank. Her third eye, the Rinasharingan, had reawakened on her forehead. This time, it lacked the Tomo pattern hers once bore and Sasuke's Rinnegan carried, but the presence was unmistakable. The rabbit goddess flexed her fingers like she was testing her grip, then rose effortlessly into the sky toward Naruto, the real one. Her face, etched with that now familiar fury, closed the distance slowly. But rather than lashing out, she stopped about 10 meters away, folding her arms across her chest in quiet contempt. "And just what do you think you're doing with my chakra, again? Do you believe I wouldn't notice, or that I'd allow it without retribution?" Naruto squared himself, ready to move the instant she struck. "Like I'd just let you run free. Sasuke and I sealed you once, remember? That makes me your parole officer." Her voice was sharp, but calm. "And yet it was you who freed me, was it not? Both of us seek a way back to my nursery. I heard your conversation with that creature. You admitted your plan was worthless. Did you think I would sit idly by while you stumbled toward a solution? With your skill, the years would rot away before you saw progress. Fortunately, you drained too little to truly hinder me." Naruto clenched his jaw. He had no comeback. "Fine, you're our only ticket back anyway." Kaguya's response was swift. She shot forward, her hand piercing the head of the massive Kurama avatar like it was smoke. Naruto raised his arms defensively, but her grip went past them, clamping cruelly on one of the fox's ears. She tore him out like plucking a leaf, leaving him dangling in her grasp. His ear throbbed like it was nearly ripped off. "Boys, what's your problem?" he snapped, glaring at the ruined head of his avatar. "Silence, Asura's reincarnation," Kaguya hissed. "I will not foolishly leave you here unsupervised. Be grateful, I will return you to my nursery." She raised her other hand, and the very air fractured. Black seams opened in the sky, expanding into the distorted shapes of her portal. Naruto had seen this many times before. Her mastery of spacetime was beyond anything else. When the rift was wide enough, she pulled him toward it. Passing through was like blinking, darkness, then light, as if his vision skipped a beat. His clones felt the same when they dispersed, their memories rushing back into him. The transition was instant, no surprise considering Sasuke's Rinnegan could do the same. On the other side, blue skies stretched overhead. Scattered clouds drifted lazily, the sun bright and warm. No wind, no birdsong, just silence. Naruto's eyes swept the barren land, cracked stone, scarred craters, and scorched earth. A battlefield. He suspected it was the same place where Team 7 had first faced Kaguya, except now the divine tree was gone. No roots, no husks, no trapped shinobi. Sasuke must have freed everyone and torched the tree for good measure. Typical Sasuke, Naruto's relief was not shared. Kaguya's expression darkened, her lips parted. "This isn't right," Naruto turned. No trace, the divine tree is gone entirely. What occurred in my absence?" she spoke to herself, baffled. Without Black Zetsu, she had no knowledge of the world's events. She fixed him with a demanding glare. "Tell me, Asura's reincarnation, what happened to my tree?" "It's gone, that's all. Sasuke probably destroyed it." Naruto waved behind him. "You don't comprehend. The divine tree carries immense power, my power. Only someone wielding strength equal to mine could destroy it. None among your kind should be capable. Your people waste their gifts by splintering them apart. How could it simply vanish?" Her voice carried unease. Naruto frowned. Sure, Sasuke could have done it. He had the Rinnegan and the tailed beast's help. But what if it wasn't Sasuke? What if someone or something else erased the tree while Kaguya was sealed? Her constant warnings about the Otsutsuki clan echoed in his mind. Could they already be here? He shut his eyes, extending his senses. In Sage Mode, he could perceive entire battlefields. With 6-path Sage Mode, he could sense across countries. Yet right beside him, he couldn't even feel Kaguya. Her nature as an Otsutsuki must have hidden her presence. Opening his eyes, he created dozens of clones, who scattered instantly. At least he could sense the shinobi villages, their people still lived. His clones would make contact, gather news. Soon, he'd reunite with everyone in person. Meanwhile, Kaguya stood frozen, Byakugan veins swelling around her eyes. She was scanning far, far beyond his range. After minutes of silence, she suddenly tilted her head upward. Naruto followed her gaze. His stomach dropped. High above, 9 enormous spheres floated in a ring, miniature moons created by planetary devastation. Each one brimmed with colossal chakra, the tailed beasts. Before he could finish, a crushing force slammed into him, blasting him back. The ground split at Kaguya's feet. The attack was hers, though not nearly as strong as Pain's almighty push. It only shoved him back a few meters. He barely regained footing before the earth shook again. Something plummeted down between them with brutal force, throwing up a storm of dust and debris. Naruto's senses flared, familiar, alive. A voice pierced the haze. "It's been a while, Naruto." Naruto froze, then smiled wide. That voice was unmistakable, a relief so deep it nearly buckled his knees. The divine tree gone, the villages intact, it all made sense now. Their fight hadn't been in vain. Through the thinning dust, a figure stepped forward. A shadow, then a face. Sasuke. His hair was a deeper black and a touch longer, the fringe falling over his left eye so that the Rinnegan beneath was barely visible. The old gray top and black trousers were gone, and that oversized purple knot that once tied a skirt to his waist had vanished too. Now he favored a near monochrome. Fitted black pants, a dark shirt, and a heavy black cloak that draped from his shoulders and fell nearly to his knees. He'd fully committed to the brooding look. Naruto almost laughed at the thought before shaking it off. That was simply Sasuke. "Sasuke, you did it. I knew you could." Naruto started, voice bright with relief, but the sentence died in his throat. Kurama's instinct for danger flared inside him, and almost at once something streaked toward them from the churning cloud of dust. A bone spear, the lethal kind Kaguya had used, stabbed through the air. "Sasuke, watch out!" Naruto yelled and launched himself forward, ready to shove Sasuke out of harm's way even if it meant taking the blow himself. But Sasuke moved first. Naruto had long known Sasuke to be blindingly fast. Even when Naruto drew on Kurama's chakra or combined it with Sage Mode, Sasuke's speed had been a challenge to match. He'd once felled Madara with a single, precise strike. Yet this display left Naruto almost breathless. Sasuke spun, a flash of metal catching the light, and whatever he held met the bone spear. It cracked cleanly in two and tumbled aside. Naruto followed the fragments and noticed they were ordinary white bone, not the ash gray of otherworldly matter. He should have expected danger. Kaguya was an enemy intent on their deaths once she regained her strength, but the immediacy of it had slipped his mind. For a heartbeat earlier, it had felt like they might reach some sort of understanding. That hope evaporated now. "Sasuke, let's take her down," Naruto called, summoning 6-paths Sage Mode and letting his chakra cloak blossom around him. Sasuke didn't answer. He stood with his back to Naruto, poised for Kaguya's next move. She didn't come from the cloud this time. A black portal opened above Sasuke, and Kaguya dropped through, raining down a volley of chakra fist punches like the rapid shots of a machine gun. Sasuke dodged, countered, and hurled his blade. He shaped a black chidori in his hand. Kaguya barely avoided the thrown sword, watching it sail past her, and in the blink after, Sasuke vanished. Then Kaguya screamed, stabbed, and shocked, as Sasuke's Chidori lanced into her spine. He vaulted back, manifesting the upper form of his Susanoo, and launched 3 violet bolts that slammed her into the earth, throwing up an avalanche of dirt and rock. Naruto felt a rush of grudging admiration. Even weakened by the battle they'd fought, Sasuke fought with deadly efficiency. He might have praised him, but an errant projectile zipped past and detonated where Naruto had just been standing. "Hey, watch it!" Naruto shouted, irritation edging his voice. Sasuke gave no sign of hearing. Kaguya reappeared from the cloud and dashed straight at Naruto. He flared into his blackened yellow cloak, confident his chakra armor would protect him from her bone spears and other assaults. But the expected lethal strike never came. He could read hostile intent, Kurama's sense told him so, yet as Kaguya closed the distance and her hair snaked around his waist, he detected no bloodlust. Still, he kicked out, driving his foot up into her jaw. She was an enemy regardless of how she felt, and immobilization was a risk he couldn't accept. The kick freed him, but another threat drew his attention. A colossal sphere of fire was racing toward them, bright and terrible as a miniature sun. Naruto formed a Rasengan and pushed it forward on a chakra arm, swelling it until it dwarfed his usual form. He slammed it into the oncoming inferno. The 2 techniques collided, and for a tense instant light and heat warred. Naruto's Rasengan held. "Oi, I'm over here too," he yelled, frustrated at being sidelined. Kaguya sneered at him and swiveled, pointing at Sasuke. Needles of hair launched like arrows toward him, most designed to hinder movement, some to pierce vital points and chakra conduits. Sasuke had faced such attacks before. He anticipated their ability to pierce Susanoo. He wrapped his Susanoo in Amaterasu flames, which charred the needles on contact and prevented any meaningful damage. Then he redirected that black flame into the crossbow forming in his Susanoo's hands. The bolt that built there thrummed with chakra, not just potent, but immense, rivaling even Naruto's largest Rasengans. Oddly, Naruto sensed tailed beast chakra woven into the lightning skin that now crackled across the Susanoo's face and the bolt itself. When Sasuke released the bolt, it carried more than ordinary chakra. It contained Ten-Tail's power. Naruto acted instinctively, sending the 3 truth-seeking orbs he had left forward. They merged into a wall strengthened by the natural energy Naruto poured into it. The resulting collision of lightning and fire was breathtaking. Kaguya shielded her eyes as a light like a newborn star flared. Black flames speckled the earth, and lightning shattered the landscape for hundreds of meters. Sasuke withdrew his Susanoo shortly after, surveying the ruin. Despite the devastation, their wall shattered the technique, but behind it Kaguya had formed a dome of white hair that protected her as the barrier fell. The hair retracted. She dropped to one knee, spent. "Were you even listening? That could have killed a lot of people if we'd been near a village." Naruto snapped to Sasuke over Kaguya's shoulder, hand itching to strike. Kaguya rose, pale but furious. She fixed Naruto with an accusing stare. "The reincarnation of Indra seeks no aid," she said coldly. "His quarry is you as it is me." She gasped then, as if her strength had drained away. Her words landed in Naruto like a stone. He couldn't deny the truth in them. He knew Sasuke, knew how single-minded and ruthless he could be. He had hoped he could stop him, but a sinking dread told him he might already be too late. Sasuke stepped out of the dust and smoke, expression unreadable, annoyance flickering across his face more at Naruto than at Kaguya. "You really did it, huh, Sasuke?" Naruto muttered to himself. "I told you back when we fought Madara," Sasuke replied quietly. "I would be Hokage, not you." "No way, a moody guy like you became Hokage," Naruto shot back, pointing in mock accusation. "As naive as ever," Sasuke said with a small, bitter laugh. "I hoped I'd never have to see you again, but now this ends between us." "I don't want to fight you, Sasuke. We already made peace," Naruto protested. "No. I created peace," Sasuke corrected, voice flat. "The other Kage are dead. No one stands against me. They live in peace because they fear me. That is how I keep peace. That is what being Hokage means to me." What Sasuke had said hit Naruto like a dagger to the chest. He'd killed the other Kage. That meant the old stone master, B's elder brother, the lava woman, and Gaara, just like Neji. Still, Naruto didn't move from his spot. His fists trembled with fury, yet his mind and spirit remained steady. He had a duty, a promise he couldn't break, and no matter what, surrender wasn't an option. To bring Sasuke back and restore him to where he belonged, Naruto would fight with everything he had, and if necessary, go beyond even that. "That's not what a Hokage does," Naruto muttered, both to Sasuke and himself. Each inhale stoked the storm surging inside him. "It doesn't matter. You're just an obstacle now," Sasuke replied, bracing for Naruto's next move. Naruto surged forward, his speed as sharp as the strike that had severed Kaguya's arm before, though this time his chakra formed a massive fist instead of a blade. Sasuke summoned his Susanoo, meeting Naruto's strike with a skeletal fist of his own, but 10 more golden fists shot forward, forcing Sasuke back. He expanded his Susanoo and fired 3 lightning-infused bolts. Naruto tracked their paths, identifying a gap between them, and pressed on without slowing. Though Sasuke's feet hit the ground, he slid backward, but controlled. When Naruto reached him, he swung wide, but Sasuke leaned back, letting Naruto sail past. Before retreating, Sasuke's left hand glowed black with 6 paths-enhanced Chidori, thrusting into Naruto's chest. The strike tore through his cloak and skin, forcing Naruto to lift upward to let his chest and cloak recover. How did he get this much stronger? Naruto wondered, unable to dwell on it mid-battle. "It's the tailed beasts," Kurama answered. "Look above." Naruto obeyed, noticing 9 massive meteors hovering high in the sky. He could sense that each one contained a tailed beast, including the yang half of Kurama that had once resided within him. "He captured them and harnessed their chakra," Kurama explained. "To make up for the loss of the old man's yin seal. He's achieved this power alone. We're seriously outmatched." Naruto watched Sasuke's fully manifested Susanoo rise like a tower above him. Unlike Madara's, it was coated in electricity, and beneath its armored exterior glowed white and blue chakra. Despite its size, it moved with incredible speed, closing in as Naruto summoned his Kurama avatar. Sasuke's Susanoo struck with a lightning spear, chopping off an arm of Naruto's avatar. Its colossal form slammed him into the ground before Naruto's eyes caught Kaguya flanking Sasuke. She launched her signature chakra fists, 80 in total, striking his side. The assault was relentless, but unlike before, Sasuke's Susanoo wasn't shattered, it was merely shifted. Gripping his spear, Sasuke hurled it at Kaguya. She expanded her hair as a shield, but it barely slowed the projectile, which tore a hole in her stomach. Blood flowed freely as her body struggled to regenerate, not fast enough for a second attack, luckily. With her Byakugan, she quickly descended, putting distance between herself and Sasuke. At the same time, a massive orange-tailed beast bomb infused with Son Goku's lava release shot toward him, colliding with an explosion so massive it could make the 10 tails flinch. Naruto didn't falter for an instant. He didn't need to see the damage, he could feel Sasuke's presence and knew where he was heading. He pulled back, raising an avatar arm to form a giant Rasen Shuriken. As Sasuke emerged from the smoke, Naruto hurled it. Sasuke countered with his spear, the jutsu clashing in midair. Undeterred, Sasuke charged through, landing before Naruto with a large purple sword. Naruto's Kurama lashes struck like venomous snakes, but Sasuke blocked 8 of 9. The remaining 2 merely thudded before being bisected. A second sword pierced the avatar's chest, embedding it. Kurama gasped as the avatar slammed to the ground, unable to remove the blade, Sasuke readying the other sword to finish him. Then Naruto noticed something behind him. Sasuke's attacking arm was sliced off, a colossal Truth-Seeker Shuriken embedded through it. It wasn't ordinary, it was forged from Kaguya's orb, and more were coming. A barrage of sonic punches rained down on Sasuke's Susanoo, forcing him back. Naruto counted over 100 strikes, each pounding with unrelenting force. "To your feet, if we are to survive. Victory must be ours," Kaguya urged as she descended. She seemed exhausted, the weight of the fight evident. "The difference in strength, it's insane. We can't win like this," Naruto admitted. His chakra from earlier skirmishes with Kaguya was nearly spent. "We must. I cannot let that boy ruin my world any longer," Kaguya responded. The air shifted. They looked up to see the meteors containing the tailed beasts moving at blinding speed towards Sasuke. They stopped, channeling their chakra into one concentrated point. Sasuke's power was about to surge beyond anything else. "We need to retreat," Kaguya ordered. No, Naruto began. This isn't up for debate, she snapped, unwilling to risk another second. In a flash, Kaguya's Rin Sharingan activated a Menemanaka, swapping the world with her ice dimension. Only Naruto and Sasuke were transported. The cold hit immediately, but Naruto felt a mix of relief and irritation. Even if she had saved them, he didn't like the way she left it. Be grateful I held back just enough chakra to get us out. I didn't expect to have to, Kaguya remarked. We need to go back, he might be vulnerable after that, Naruto urged. No, Indra's reincarnation controls the vestiges of my power. We need more than we have. Returning now would be suicide. Naruto knew she was right. Sasuke's new power likely made him unstoppable. Kaguya wasn't as strong as before, and he had lost the Yang Seal. Even gathering more raw power wouldn't guarantee victory. With the tailed beasts behind him, Sasuke could fight indefinitely. Raw strength alone wasn't enough. Naruto wished desperately for an ally, someone to strategize with, Kakashi, Shikamaru, even one of the deceased Hokages. But all he had was Kurama, the other tailed beasts, Kaguya, and himself. He paused, thinking. Kaguya watched with interest. After a moment, he spoke. I don't even know what to call you, Naruto said awkwardly. Is that really your concern? Kaguya replied, incredulous. Hey, I can't keep saying you forever, Naruto countered. Fine, she said. You may call me Kaguya, but don't be disrespectful. I've heard others have, and it is intolerable. All right, fine. Is there anything here that could be considered some sort of hidden weapon? Naruto asked, curiosity mixed with mischief. Disregarding your paranoia and suspicion, I'd say no, Kaguya replied. But you're welcome to explore. I remember constructing a castle for myself somewhere in this dimension. There could be more than even I recall. Damn, even if I made a ton of shadow clones, searching everything would take forever. Naruto paused abruptly, as if struck by a sudden revelation. Kaguya noticed immediately. This wasn't frustration, it was inspiration sparking within him. His chakra cloak faded, and his bright blue eyes returned to normal as he faced her. Hey, Kaguya, he began. I've told you not to call me old. Kaguya snapped, her voice booming enough that Naruto instinctively covered his ears. Sorry, my bad, Naruto called back, lowering his hands. I just got an idea, and I think it could actually work. Then speak, child, she said, though curiosity flickered in her tone. Naruto didn't immediately answer. Instead, he produced a few shadow clones. Most of them scurried off to explore the dimension, while 2 stayed behind. The 3, including the original, exchanged a quick glance and nodded. The 2 clones seated themselves on the ground, enduring the harsh temperature shift with effort. Soon, they were motionless, perfectly still. Even Kaguya noticed. They seemed like statues, frozen in place. Whatever he was doing, it was important. One clone smoothly entered Sage mode, carefully drawing in natural energy despite being in this unfamiliar dimension. The other, however, took a far stranger approach. Its body morphed, growing wider, covered in bumps and warts, almost frog-like. Overwhelmed by the flood of natural energy, the clone suddenly dissipated. The energy didn't return to Naruto. It was like the clone had simply died, releasing its experience into nothingness. A wave of nausea hit him, reminding him of the unpleasant lessons at MT Mayaboku. It was all deliberate. Naruto had controlled the balance of chakra and natural energy perfectly before. This was an experiment. He wanted to see the outcome if a clone failed. Humans might transform or even die when failing, but clones could safely experience the error without consequence. He quietly noted the results. Your doppelganger just malfunctioned. What exactly is this supposed to prove? Kaguya asked, puzzled. Listen up, Naruto said, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. I think I can show you how to truly master Sage mode. The same power you and my son command. Kaguya raised an eyebrow, feigning restraint. She didn't want to reveal just how intrigued she was. Attention from Naruto could easily become a headache. Yeah, and it's going to challenge everything you think about ninjutsu and us shinobi. Be ready to rethink it all. Even as he spoke, Kaguya felt a slight unease she couldn't shake. She settled atop a flat chunk of red stone, legs bent and folded beneath her like a traditional posture, reminiscent of tea brewers or samurai, though she fit neither category. Comfort was essential, her mind was already cluttered, and she needed to minimize distractions. Stay perfectly still, Naruto instructed, demonstrating himself. The task was deceptively difficult. Emptying her mind didn't automatically immobilize her body, and vice versa. Still, Kaguya persevered, determined to grasp this new power. Minutes passed. Her missteps grew fewer, stray thoughts became rarer, and her body twitched less. Most importantly, she withheld any expression of satisfaction. Any acknowledgement could break her concentration. Progress had to be blind, without expectation. Finally, she reached a stillness so profound that even fish in a pond wouldn't stir beneath her. Natural energy began seeping into her from the spacetime around them, leaking slowly like a cracked vessel. Focused, she moved on to the next step. Balance your chakra with natural energy, Naruto instructed. Here, an empty mind wasn't enough. Her vast chakra reserves helped, but merging them with natural energy required every ounce of focus. Transitioning from stillness to harmony of energies took hours, but her natural aptitude suggested she could master it quickly. As energies intertwined, her body transformed. Horns extended, leaves sprouted across her skin, which began to harden like wood. She was so absorbed in controlling the energies that she didn't notice the physical changes. Then a sudden impact hit her spine, a solid strike at near supersonic speed. She gasped in shock and pain, her body releasing a white plume of smoke. "Another failure," a Kaguya observing from a short distance muttered, a trace of annoyance in her tone. Naruto didn't pause. He moved toward another clone and struck again. Each clone, 6 in total, including the one that had dissipated, spent hours or days practicing. Failures were inevitable, but each mishap brought Kaguya closer to mastering natural energy. Naruto emphasized a critical step. Using shadow clones accelerated the process. Mistakes by the clones transferred their experience to Kaguya safely, allowing her to avoid the hazards of raw failure. This method had allowed him to master Rasengan, Shuriken, and Sage mode quickly. It now benefited her as well. Despite the chaos, the practicing clones remained undisturbed. Below the elevated pillar, a battle raged, Naruto versus Kaguya. Neither wielded chakra shrouds. Naruto relied solely on the 6 paths Sage mode. The Kaguya he fought had shortened her hair into a functional ponytail, her kimono blackened white and cropped for mobility. Naruto charged, fists swinging. With all her eyes active, Kaguya easily tracked his movements. Yet his attacks were feints and real strikes blended with frog kata, a technique she couldn't decipher until mastering Sage mode herself. Despite her formidable visual abilities, she struggled to predict his moves, absorbing a relentless barrage. Naruto relished the challenge, even slightly. When she finally balanced the playing field, she promised herself revenge. And in that moment of renewed resolve, her punch struck true, shattering stone. Of course, just like the shadow clones honing their minds atop that high slab of stone, these two combatants were only part of a much larger set. Physical training couldn't be rushed with shadow clones, but experience in battle could certainly be accelerated. Even with her abilities limited, she displayed remarkable physical prowess. If Naruto's body weren't being constantly augmented by 6 paths Sage mode, a single strike from her, punch or kick, could have easily shattered his bones. Frog kata served as both offense and defense, particularly against those untrained in it. Once she mastered it fully, Naruto would undoubtedly feel the consequences of underestimating her. For now, though, the focus was on transforming her raw strength into precise technique. Meanwhile, Naruto and Kaguya occupied a different space entirely. These weren't shadow clones. Kaguya herself observed the real Naruto, and 2 of his clones, golden chakra, enveloping them as they worked. Kaguya's 3 eyes scrutinized every movement as she guided their efforts. Balance the ratios perfectly. 50-50, not a fraction off, or it will fail, Kaguya instructed. Naruto followed her direction carefully. The 3 of them, 6 hands working in tandem, compressed a massive chakra into a perfect sphere. It resembled creating a Rasengan, a Shuriken, or even a tailed beast bomb. The difference was subtle but crucial. The Rasengan didn't require any elemental nature, the Shuriken required one, and the tailed beast bomb required an imbalanced ratio. This sphere demanded an exact balance of yin and yang. Naruto's potential was immense. Even without fully grasping it, He could wield Hagoromo's chakra to execute the creation of all things technique. He had restored Kakashi's lost eye, mended Might Guy's failing heart, and delayed Abido's fate. Mastering this ability could elevate him to a level of power beyond Hagoromo's seals, much like Sasuke had achieved. Slowly, the chakra took shape between the three Naruto's hands, one providing energy, another balancing yin and yang, and the third maintaining form. The black sphere reflected no light, resembling Kaguya's Shinjutsu, the very same method that produced a Truth-Seeker orb. "It's not complete yet. Keep it steady," Kaguya warned, though it wasn't the first time she'd reminded them. After several tense seconds, the orb reached its intended size. Kaguya gave the signal to stop. The two clones faded in exhaustion, leaving the real, equally tired Naruto before a newly formed Truth-Seeker orb. It was the first he had created since losing 9 of his previous orbs, a small victory, but worth celebrating. "I didn't think making these would be like this. It's actually easier than I expected," Naruto admitted. The process was reminiscent of other jutsu he had learned, though it required far more chakra than he had ever used before. "Do not mistake it for simple, boy," Kaguya replied, arms crossed. Naruto raised an eyebrow, dismissing it with a grin. He sat down, the clones vanishing and his clothes returning to normal. The orb disappeared as well, ready to be recalled when he wore his cloak again. Hunger gnawed at him, not real hunger, more like craving. Though he hadn't eaten in a while, his chakra-enhanced body remained in peak condition. Regardless, he could think of nothing but a steaming bowl of ramen from Ikaraku's. "Hey, ever tried ramen?" Naruto asked out of nowhere. "Ramen," Kaguya repeated, lowering her arms. "Yeah, noodles and soup with meat and veggies, it's amazing. Actually, what do you Otsutsuki eat?" "Chakra, that's enough. Anything else is largely unnecessary," Kaguya said matter-of-factly. "You've never eaten anything tasty?" Naruto asked in disbelief. A life without flavor was unimaginable. "I once enjoyed sweet fruits," she murmured. "When?" Naruto pressed. "As a child," she whispered softly. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "How long ago?" "It hardly matters, especially not to you. My life and my clans are devoted to our duties, not fleeting pleasures." "So you haven't had fun since childhood?" Naruto began but stopped. Estimating her age at several thousand years, he wisely didn't push further. "And you don't have friends or family either. What about your parents?" "Judging my kin as if they were yours would be foolish. My ancestors fulfilled their roles perfectly. Nothing more is needed," she said, coldly but matter-of-factly. Curiosity sparked in Naruto. "Then why have kids? Gramps calls you his mother, and I'm supposedly the reincarnation of your grandson. You're not human, so why fall in love with one?" "That is a topic I will not discuss," she replied stubbornly. "Fine, but did you have any allies or friends?" Naruto asked, changing the subject. "No. Many of my peers were insufferable. Only the journey brought me some relief, distance from them," she admitted. "Anyone you didn't dislike?" Naruto persisted. "What is the purpose of these questions?" Kaguya asked sharply. "Just curiosity. We have time, so I might as well learn about you," Naruto said casually, resting while he regained strength. Sleep wasn't on his mind. She studied him for a few silent seconds before responding. Lord Kinshiki was a disciplined warrior, a reliable predecessor. Ishiki Otsutsuki, my superior, was similarly well-mannered. It was unfortunate he could not accept my decision. He might have been a powerful ally. Her tone held no nostalgia. "So Ishiki came to Earth with you?" Naruto asked. "Yes, clan protocol dictates travel in pairs to ensure our will is realized. Upon arrival, he was to claim the first fruit." "And you killed him and took it yourself," Naruto guessed carefully. "Yes, he dismissed my work and refused to see flaws in our doctrine. Had I not acted, my world would have been ruined. Do you oppose my choice?" "No, I guess not," Naruto murmured. Saving the world justified her actions, even if it meant killing Ishiki. He would have caused problems otherwise. "Now it is your turn," Kaguya said, sitting down as if tired of standing. "Me? I thought you didn't care," Naruto said, surprised. "We have a pause, do we not? Even I tire of revealing myself endlessly. It should be entertaining to observe your side as well," she replied. "All right, what do you want to know?" Naruto asked, refreshed and curious. "You asked about my kin, so it's fair I ask about yours," she said. "Kin?" Naruto asked, then realized. Ah, my village. I'm from Konoha, the Hidden Leaf, full of civilians and shinobi. I aim to be Hokage like my dad. Your brother claims the same title. I don't see him that way. Hokage is more than a title, it's about protecting the village. That's what I plan to do. Oh, and Sasuke isn't my brother by blood, but he's like one to me, Naruto said with a light smile. I see Hokage is akin to a clan leader then. I understand your goal. With power like mine, leading your people would be effortless. Still, remember where my priorities lie, boy. I won't let you tear apart my world, not now, not ever. I won't force anyone to follow me just because I'm strong, Naruto said, his voice steady despite repeating the same declaration yet again. He paused for a moment, letting out a quiet sigh, then continued. I understand you want to protect everything, but there's no point in protecting people if you treat them like they're incapable of understanding or surviving on their own. You are still children, Kaguya responded, her tone almost earnest, though sharp. Your kind isn't prepared for the threats that lie beyond your world. A single human life is far too short to change that. You may be an exception, but that is all it is, an exception. How long do you think you can survive, and how long will your strength carry you? Naruto hesitated, searching for words that could truly counter her, though he knew he couldn't fully dismiss her argument. It frustrated him that, in some ways, she was right, but he was right too. Maybe one or two shinobi aren't much compared to someone like you, but no one can shoulder everything alone. If I fall short, I'll make sure the next generation surpasses me. I'll protect my family, no matter what. Kaguya's gaze sharpened as she listened, taking in every word. For a moment, she seemed genuinely attentive, more so than he had ever seen. Then, almost suddenly, a flicker of surprise crossed her face, followed by a faint smile. Perhaps, she said softly, closing her eyes. Naruto watched, curious. A subtle change began around her eyes. Lines spread like branches or bamboo shoots, weaving outward until her Byakugan and Rin Sharingan glowed with pale green veins of energy. Naruto instinctively entered Sage mode and immediately recognized the flow of natural energy, perfectly balanced, stable, and harmonized with her chakra. Wow, that was fast, Naruto thought. They hadn't spent much time here, perhaps only a couple of days, yet the shadow clone training clearly accelerated everything. If he had trained with clones like that back when he first tried Sage mode, he might have achieved this level even sooner. Kaguya rose, studying the energy flowing around her hands. Activating her Byakugan in Sage mode, she could sense natural energy both within and surrounding her. Air and water shifted as she moved her hands, bending and twisting as if the world itself responded to her touch. The sensation was mesmerizing, yet she quickly regained focus. Strength coursed through her, yes, but more than that, she felt an intimate connection to the world itself. The endless craving for more chakra, more power, more life, the desire that had driven her since the beginning and haunted her clan, was gone. What remained was sublime. In an instant, she rocketed skyward. Naruto shielded his face against the sonic boom, barely able to track her movement. She ascended, then abruptly halted. Raising her hand, she traced a pattern through the air, and clouds began to condense at an impossible rate. A massive storm formed, white against green, then gray, then nearly black. With a snap of her fingers, the energy discharged. A tower of lightning struck the ground below, a cascading eruption of energy that obliterated everything at its impact. The air roared, stone vaporized, and molten rock lined a massive crater. It was precise yet devastating, a power reminiscent of the Ten Tails, but refined, controlled, and infused with natural energy. Naruto barely had time to process before Kaguya returned, breaking the sound barrier as she landed in front of him. Her expression was unlike anything he had seen, equal parts joy and awe. These sensations, this connection, this is what I've been searching for, she said, energy radiating from her. Naruto almost wondered if she had ever truly smiled before. Then let's move. Sasuke still needs to be stopped, Naruto answered with equal fervor. Kaguya's hand shot out, gripping his wrist and pulling him back. Not yet. Indra's reincarnation will be ready for our arrival. Compared to him, you are insignificant. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Naruto thought dryly. In exchange for this, I will share my knowledge with you. My shinjutsu alone is trivial, yet you— What? Naruto prompted, urging her to finish. Though I hate to admit it, You are not someone to discard. I cannot ignore any chance of success against that brat. Naruto caught a subtle difference in her tone. Perhaps she was beginning to care, even just a little. Why else would she ask about his past, when Black Zetsu already knew everything about the shinobi world? Without noticing, they were approaching the area where their shadow clones trained. Kaguya's faint smile showed that, even while sparring, she was absorbing the experiences of every clone, preparing for the challenge ahead. Naruto clenched his fists, drawing a steadying breath. It was time to return and face what awaited them. Sasuke would undoubtedly be ready, perhaps even predicting their arrival. Kaguya stood before him, wrapped in her flowing kimono. Her chakra had recovered, as had his. She glanced back, her third eye wide open. "You haven't forgotten, have you?" she asked. "Of course not," Naruto replied loudly, almost offended by the suggestion. Kaguya chuckled and turned away. "Good. I expect nothing less than your best." She opened a portal before them, simpler and less taxing than a Menemenaka. A geometric rift formed, wide enough for them both. Naruto felt the surge of all nine-tailed beasts' chakra revive him. His blackened gold cloak returned, his eyes shifting to yellow with cross-shaped pupils, and 9 dense black spheres of chakra appearing behind him. The tailed beasts were silent, their support already within his mind. Kaguya stepped through first, Naruto following. When his vision adjusted, the sky above was near black, the land below only faintly visible under the glow of a full moon. They hovered above the remnants of Madara's devastation, far from any village. Without a word, they descended onto one of the flattened stumps. The wood was sturdy enough for now, though likely temporary. "He is approaching," Kaguya said, activating her Byakugan. "Yeah, I see it," Naruto said, sensing Sasuke's approach and the direction he was coming from. Raising one hand, Naruto summoned a Truth-Seeker orb, which hovered just above his palm. At his mental command, it morphed into a tailed beast bomb the size of his head, spinning with the razor-sharp wind of a Rasen shuriken. He drew back his arm, locked eyes on his target, and hurled the massive shuriken like it was nothing more than a baseball. Its speed was astonishing given its size. For a few tense moments, silence dominated the scene as Naruto and Kaguya watched. Then, a sudden bolt of lightning split the clouds, followed by a blinding white light that tore through the midnight sky. The explosion blazed like a tiny, furious star before fading into the darkness. It wasn't merely a lightning strike. Sasuke, hurtling towards them at unimaginable speed, had countered. At first, Naruto couldn't make him out, but as the sky returned to normal, a small pinkish-purple dot appeared. At that pace, he'd reach them in under a minute. Naruto didn't bother to launch another attack. Using it near the ground would risk both the surroundings and their safety. Instead, as the modified Truth-Seeker orb returned behind him, he poured chakra into forming a massive Kurama avatar. As the avatar grew into shape, Kaguya shot forward like a comet, aiming to intercept Sasuke mid-descent. The two collided almost instantly. Sasuke's enhanced Susanoo swung a lightning-laden spear at Kaguya, slicing through the air. She twisted mid-air, narrowly avoiding it, and before Sasuke could strike again, she clenched her fist and slammed it into Kurama's chest. The punch left no lasting mark, but like lightning, it was only the herald of what was to come. Immediately, the Susanoo was hammered by a flurry of potent blows. Kaguya's technique resembled her 80 Gods vacuum attack, but concentrated. Instead of scattering her strikes over a wide area, she condensed them into 3 times fist-sized chakra fists, striking the same spot repeatedly. The focused force exploited a weak point in the Susanoo's armor, surprising Sasuke. Reacting quickly, he fired arrows to create distance, momentarily distracted. "Not so fast, jackass," Naruto yelled, swinging Kurama's massive arms and a hammer strike onto the Susanoo's head. The force knocked Sasuke downwards, closer to the broken terrain below. The initial advantage was won, but the real battle was just beginning. Sasuke, now fully alert to their strength, wouldn't underestimate them again. Naruto landed, swinging all 9 tails at Sasuke. The attacks were blocked by the long purple katana of Susanoo. Sasuke retaliated, thrusting his spear at the avatar's head where Naruto remained. The fox narrowly avoided a direct hit, though part of its face was torn. In response, Naruto launched a miniature tailed beast bomb at point-blank range, infused with natural energy. Sasuke caught it with an empty hand, sacrificing it to survive, while Naruto lost 3 of his 9 tails in the counter. Sasuke stomped, pushing Naruto back and shattering the wooden terrain. He conjured a crossbow, firing Amaterasu-coated arrows that pinned the remaining 6 tails, aiming for the kill. But Kaguya distracted him, allowing Naruto to disperse the avatar and evade. Sasuke threw another attack at Kaguya, who dodged with ease and unleashed another barrage of condensed chakra fists. Yet before her strikes could land, Sasuke vanished. Kaguya, using her Byakugan, pivoted to defend, but was sent flying by a powerful skeletal punch followed by a massive fireball from Sasuke's mouth. He twisted midair, catching a punch meant for his head, and used Naruto as a foothold to flip over him, kicking him down. Following swiftly, he extended a black Chidori-coated hand. "Not today. Kokuo, lend me your strength," Naruto called. The 5-tailed beast transformed his chakra into a pressurized steam bomb, repelling Sasuke and his Chidori. Suspended in the air, Sasuke's momentum was stalled, but Naruto wasn't done. He formed a Rasengan, charging it with extra chakra to triple its size, aimed at Sasuke. With Sharingan and Rinnegan, Sasuke turned the Chidori into a blade, blocking the attack. Sasuke disappeared, and Naruto's Rasengan instead slammed into Kaguya, forcing them apart. Before they could recover, Naruto was yanked down by an invisible force. Sasuke had landed and used his Rinnegan to draw him closer. Naruto fought back, transforming the Truthseeker orbs into a staff to block Sasuke's sword. Their weapons clashed, and the battle transitioned into lightning-fast taijutsu. 100 blows were exchanged in a blur, punches, kicks, feints, and counters. At the 100th strike, they separated with a simultaneous stomach kick. Bone spears erupted around Sasuke, yet he deftly deflected them with a kunai. A barrage of blackened fireballs followed, which Kaguya swatted away effortlessly. She prepared a small space-time rift to strike from behind, but Sasuke anticipated her move. As Kaguya's hand disappeared into the rift, he seized Naruto's punch, redirecting it so Naruto collided face-first into a white fist. Stunned, Naruto watched as Sasuke formed a standard Chidori, aiming at Kaguya. A dragon-like electrical force struck her from above, exploiting the blind spot the Byakugan couldn't cover. Sasuke called down another bolt of Kirin as Naruto lunged. With Rinnegan precision, the trajectories swapped. Naruto absorbed the Kirin's destructive energy, leaving him momentarily stunned, while Sasuke loomed over a dazed Kaguya. He used the Preta path to siphon some of her chakra, quickly shifting tactics before she could respond. Using the Deva path, Sasuke sent Kaguya hurtling toward the ground. Ironically, if Naruto hadn't managed to dodge at the last second, she would have landed right on top of him. Naruto was about to charge at Sasuke, but his opponent acted first, using his Rinnegan to swap places with him. Suspended midair, Naruto suddenly felt a small black sphere slam against his stomach. It immediately started pulling up chunks of earth and stone, striking him over and over as it expanded into a miniature planetary devastation. The irony wasn't lost on him. Once again, he found himself trapped in a meteoroid crafted with Sasuke's help. This one wouldn't last nearly as long as the last, but it was enough to keep him contained for a few precious minutes. Sasuke seemed determined, perhaps compelled, to handle Kaguya himself. Even he was surprised by how much Naruto and the others had grown. He'd fortified himself beforehand, drawing as much chakra as possible from the sealed-tailed beasts, but each jutsu still demanded careful energy management. He couldn't risk leaving them unattended, in case one tried to interfere while the other distracted him. With Naruto temporarily contained, at least that concern was gone. Issuing a telepathic command to the 9 meteoroids under his control, Sasuke called them back to his side and prepared to engage Kaguya directly. He relied on taijutsu to conserve his chakra until reinforcements arrived. But something caught him off guard. Kaguya wasn't lying still, she was perfectly motionless. As she lifted herself off the ground, her attire shifted. Her enormous robes disintegrated into dust, revealing the outfit she had worn during her sparring with Naruto. Her hair had shortened, tied into a ponytail, and Sasuke couldn't help but pause, confused by this unfamiliar form. The unique pigmentation around her eyes gave away the transformation, though. With a powerful kick off a nearby stump, Kaguya launched herself at Sasuke, crushing the wood beneath her. Using the Byakugan, she targeted his vital and chakra points with surgical precision, extending thin chakra blades from her fingertips. The gentle fist technique was deadly, capable of severing chakra flow with just a few strikes. A single well-placed attack could render almost anyone powerless, and the next one might be lethal. Sasuke moved carefully, evading each strike with the precision only the Sharingan and Rinnegan could provide. Kaguya lacked knowledge of the Hyuga's rotation palms, relying solely on direct assault. Her expression soured with each miss, her attacks growing faster but increasingly inaccurate. Sasuke smirked at her mistake and anticipated her next move. She was about to overextend herself, leaving an opening. With minimal movement, he slipped past her arm to strike, aiming a lightning-charged fist at her throat. But then her expression shifted into a smirk. Before he could react, an invisible force slammed into him, sending him flying several meters onto a crumbling tree stump. His senses spun out of control as he struggled to land properly. He couldn't believe it. It wasn't chakra-based. His eyes would have detected that, but it had hit him with the overwhelming force of natural energy, Kaguya's own version of Sage Mode. Sasuke, unfamiliar with this power beyond the curse mark and Jugo's help, immediately regretted underestimating her. But the tailed beasts were nearing, and a little more chakra would tip the scales back in his favor. He widened his evasive maneuvers, keeping a safe distance from Kaguya's natural energy attacks. She manipulated her power locally, not the entire environment like Kabuto had, so distance worked in his favor. For a moment, he felt secure, until the pigmentation around her eyes faded, signaling a change. His instincts told him this was his chance. Sasuke continued to evade broadly, biding time until an opening appeared. When none came naturally, he created one. The black flames of Amaterasu weren't especially threatening to Kaguya, but they were blinding and disorienting. While she dealt with the flames, Sasuke struck, piercing her abdomen with a dark metal spike and slamming her onto the wooden floor. More spikes shot from his palms, pinning her hands as well. Using his Rinnegan, he could form these rods from pure chakra, turning her into a restrained pincushion, alive but immobilized. Just then, a surge of intense chakra erupted behind him. The large yellow fox burst free from the meteoric trap, and Naruto leapt out, dissipating it immediately. He had clearly expended a tremendous amount of chakra to escape, but still retained enough for combat. Naruto lunged at Sasuke, propelled by his own speed and boiling chakra. Sasuke readied himself, pulling back his arm to intercept, but his Susanoo extended its purple limb in his stead. Their collision rattled the air, and Naruto's strength, amplified by his boiling chakra, threatened to overwhelm even the almighty push. Sasuke sacrificed a small portion of chakra to halt Naruto's momentum. Naruto paused, crushing the skeletal arm with his punch. Sasuke unleashed a volley of flying black rods, but Naruto anticipated the danger. "Shukaku, help me," he thought, and the sand tanuki's chakra responded. Magnetic force radiated from Naruto, diverting the rods in all directions but toward him or Sasuke. His charge continued, this time clad in molten lava armor, the embodiment of the great sage's power. Close combat against him was suicidal. He closed the distance, but Sasuke countered, conjuring a tidal wall to block the lava. Seizing the moment, he electrified the water with a Chidori, sending currents surging toward Naruto. Naruto gritted his teeth, relying on Shukaku once again. He formed a magnetic Rasengan, which deflected the electric currents and drilled through the watery barrier. Breaking through, he slammed the spinning sphere into Sasuke. They crashed to the ground. The magnetic Rasengan struck Sasuke's chest, Shukaku's markings blossoming over him. A surge of triumph washed over Naruto as he felt victory within reach. But just like Sasuke, that warmth vanished into smoke, as Naruto's resistance faltered and he collapsed forward. The Sasuke he had just overpowered was merely a shadow clone, something Naruto had never seen him use before. It had to have been created before Naruto turned the tide of battle. Kurama's chakra sensed the surge of negative emotions and warned Naruto to turn, but it was already too late. One of Sasuke's black receivers pierced his shoulder, bypassing his armor with its disruptive power and pinning him to the ground. Sasuke's hand shot forward to grasp Naruto's neck, squeezing with lethal intent. It wasn't just a strangulation. Sasuke was draining his chakra too. The cloak that protected Naruto dissolved first. "It's over, Naruto," Sasuke said with calm confidence. Though fatigued, siphoning Naruto's chakra rejuvenated him. Pride glimmered in his eyes. He had defeated his opponent despite the careful preparations. As he basked in his victory, shadows began to creep around them. The 9 meteoroids had finally arrived. Sasuke no longer needed additional chakra from the tailed beast. What he had brought was already enough. For a brief moment, he released Naruto and raised his gaze to the sky. "I've achieved what we were both fighting for, true peace. No one can oppose me. You never could stop me or save me. Do you understand now?" Sasuke asked. Naruto groaned, seizing a fleeting moment to breathe despite the pain. He could barely respond. Sasuke's idea of peace was born of bloodshed and cold winds, as if he had become a colossal blizzard, erasing warmth and life from the world. Yet Naruto sensed something, a distant, faint presence. A memory, a shard of experience, carried from one of his shadow clones as it dissipated. But when had he made it? Not during this fight. "Remember what I said?" Naruto asked softly, loud enough for Sasuke to hear. "I will bring you back. Even if I had to break every bone in your body." Naruto's scream echoed, and on the last syllable, Sasuke sensed it. A deep, earth-shaking rumble, or perhaps many simultaneously. He scanned his surroundings. The shadows at his feet shifted, and he looked up at the meteoroids. They were crumbling, falling apart as if undone by an unseen force. The tailed beasts were free again, descending to the ground alongside 9 copies of Naruto. Sasuke hadn't noticed them before. They hadn't been created during the battle, but had existed since Naruto returned with Kaguya, sent out to gather intel. They had patiently made their way to the meteoroids, the tailed beasts' prisons, unnoticed thanks to Sasuke's focus on the original and Kaguya. Each clone touched a tailed beast, fists, claws, or paws depending on form, and then vanished simultaneously. Sasuke's danger sense screamed, but it was too late. Naruto's chakra cloak returned, transformed. Where gold once shone, now silver radiated. He wielded the combined power of all the tailed beasts, not just fragments. Sasuke barely had a moment to react before pale hands struck, ripping his vision away. Kaguya landed gracefully, clutching 2 potent eyes in her hands. Her robe was torn by Sasuke's receivers, yet somehow she had freed herself. Sasuke neither saw nor understood how. Ironically, it was Naruto's mastery of a unique ninjutsu, recognized even by Kaguya, that allowed her intervention, requiring nothing more than 2 fingers on each hand. The fight wasn't over. Even blind, Sasuke wasn't defeated, but Kaguya made no move. She understood that this conclusion did not belong to her. Naruto struck with precise force, first to the stomach, then across the face. Sasuke attempted another Chidori, but Naruto caught it, disarming him. There was no joy in victory, no triumph, only self-reproach. Yet the task had to be finished. "I'm sorry I couldn't end this differently, Sasuke," Naruto said quietly. He dispelled his cloak, letting natural energy swirl around him, confronting the brother he had failed with nothing but skin and clothes. A few more blows, and Sasuke lay motionless, still breathing but no longer in control. Silence fell. Naruto exhaled so forcefully it seemed his lungs might collapse. He felt rage, grief, and guilt. If he hadn't been trapped in the other dimension, countless lives, including Tsunade, Gaara, the Raikage, and Mizukage, would have been spared. It was his fault. Kurama and the others arrived, offering congratulations, but it did little to lift his spirit. A hand rested on his shoulder, and Kaguya's voice broke through. "Let it be known," she sighed. "No, enough. Even now I would kill this boy if it were my choice. He has caused only pain and frustration. For your sake and mine, I hold his eyes, but his life is yours." Naruto's answer was clear. He clung to a promise made long ago. Night lingered, heavy and silent, even inside the Hokage's office, though it no longer bore that name. One figure sat alone, shrouded in the eerie calm of the full moon. Rapid footsteps shattered the quiet. A young shinobi, unable to join the Fourth War, burst into the room. "Lord Sixth, are you there?" he called out frantically. His eyes scanned the room, landing on a head resting motionless on the desk. "Lord Sixth," he shouted, rushing forward, fear gripping him, but a muffled groan stopped him. Another identical groan came from the same figure. Slowly, the man lifted his head, opening his eyes. "It's just you. Good night," he murmured, resting his head back. Sir, this is urgent. The meteors, the 9 of them, they're gone. Huh, they didn't just move. Recon reports confirm they've vanished from the continent entirely. Am I dreaming? You're not, Kakashi sighed, understanding the gravity. Weeks of chaos had led to this. Naruto had disappeared, unresurrected by the Sage of 6 Paths. Sasuke had trapped the tailed beasts in a powerful genjutsu, sealing them in planetary constructs and freeing those under the infinite Tsukuyomi, but not before slaughtering the 5 Cage. Kakashi had been powerless, restrained by Sasuke's ocular might. In an instant, the cage were gone, and the very word itself vanished. Once the world had finally been freed, Sasuke had established a single, unbreakable rule. There would be no more cage. The 5 great shinobi nations no longer existed in name. Without their cage and their tailed beasts, these villages were simply communities of shinobi, notable only for their size. The land of iron and its samurai remained largely untouched, of course. Leadership positions still existed, but anyone daring enough to claim the title of Kage quickly vanished without a trace. Now, as Konoha's 6th Hokage, Kakashi was charged with leading a village whose spirit had nearly been crushed. The neighboring villages were in similar states. The successors of the former Kage existed, but their power was negligible against the looming threat. Across the world, uncertainty lingered. Would anyone ever stop Sasuke? Or would shinobi culture fade entirely before that happened? Kakashi, however, wasn't filled with doubt. He trusted his instincts. Despite all evidence to the contrary, he believed it wasn't over. Somewhere, somehow, Naruto was still out there, fighting, surviving, refusing to give in. The unpredictable, reckless hero who had once made a fool of himself could still be the one to change everything. When word spread that the tailed beasts had vanished, Kakashi's chest tightened with a peculiar mix of anticipation and relief. I can't just stay in bed, he thought. Whether he'd slept enough or not didn't matter. He felt a compelling urge to move, to prepare. His instincts were telling him something big was about to happen, and if anyone knew, Naruto would find out first. Minutes later, official messengers burst into the Hokage office. Kakashi wasn't alone in this. The news of the beast's disappearance had spread across villages. Strange storms roared across the lands, and the symbol of the Hokage's power had vanished from the skies. How and why this happened remained a mystery for now. You actually did it, Naruto, Kurama's Yang half said, his voice a dry mixture of approval and begrudging admiration. Yeah, I guess I did, Naruto replied, glancing at the freed-tailed beasts. You all okay? It feels incredible to move again. Son Goku roared, raising his fists like he could lift the sky. And now, Juki asked. You achieved your goal, but I doubt this is exactly what you expected. What's next? Well, I guess I head back to Konoha. That's all I can do, right? Naruto said with a faint chuckle. And you guys? The tailed beasts exchanged looks, silently debating. Juki spoke first. I need to find B. I left a piece of my chakra with him before I was sealed, so he's out there somewhere. Might give him a good smack for those terrible raps, he said with a grin. A place to be left alone sounds nice, Choma added, echoed by several others. What about you, Shukaku? Naruto asked, noting the Tanuki's silence. HMPH, I'd love to put a sand bullet through that Uchiha brat, Shukaku said, nodding toward the restrained Sasuke. But for now, I'm going back to Suna. Really, out of all places? Juki asked, surprised. It's none of your business, Shukaku snapped. Even Naruto couldn't help but grin at that. Thanks, Shukaku, he said earnestly. I said it's my business, Shukaku shot back. Few could truly understand his decision, though one reason might be Gaara's dedication to his village, a secret only 2 would know. And her? Kurama asked, directing attention to the woman beside Naruto. Kaguya remained calm, her gaze shifting over everyone. Her intentions were unreadable, leaving even Naruto on edge. You were created from my chakra by my son, weren't you? She said plainly. To think, life born from pure energy, each with their own will and desires, my son truly was extraordinary. Unlike those before him, who consumed and left nothing, he gave life. I should be proud. Kaguya floated upward, approaching Kurama slowly, placing a hand against his head. I won't repeat my past mistakes. Ignoring my son led only to madness. I've grown beyond that, and I won't allow suffering for his children. Right, Naruto? she asked, descending gently. It was the first time she'd spoken his name. Perhaps intentionally, perhaps not, but Naruto felt a flicker of warmth at the gesture. "My village, I'm curious to see it," she continued. "Yeah, you'll see soon enough," Naruto replied, a genuine spark of hope returning to him. As he looked at the horizon, the sun began to rise, painting the sky orange against the fading black. Just seeing it, feeling it, brought him peace. The gathering soon disbanded. The tailed beasts would find their own paths, seeking peace or returning to their homes. And if needed, they could always communicate through Naruto's chakra. Recon teams arrived shortly after, finding only signs of a recent conflict. Their confusion didn't last long. Konoha was first to witness the truth. 3 figures arrived at the gate. Reactions were mixed. The 9-tailed fox inspired awe and fear. Naruto drew cheers and celebration. Kaguya was met with cautious curiosity, and Sasuke, restrained and weakened, caused tension among all. Seeing his friends, Naruto's heart swelled. Sakura's hug nearly crushed him. Shikamaru and Choji offered congratulations. Hinata's tears soaked his shoulder. For the villagers, this was a moment long awaited. Naruto had returned victorious. Kakashi quickly ushered Naruto and their visitors behind closed doors. Even without his Sharingan, he recognized Kaguya as the same threat that had once nearly destroyed them. His questions numbered like stars in the sky, though he was reassured to hear her words were now calm and cooperative. Kurama requested to be resealed in Naruto, reuniting his divided chakra, a task that would require skilled hands. Plans were made to locate Orochimaru and Sasuke's former allies, who had vanished into unknown corners. Sasuke's situation remained delicate. With his eyes taken by Kaguya and locked securely by Konoha, he awaited judgment. Execution might seem justified to the world, but Naruto refused. He still believed in Sasuke's potential, in who he could become. "You sure about this?" Kakashi asked, leaning on the Hokage office railing with Naruto. "Maybe not, but I can't give up on him," Naruto said, his head bowed. "As expected," Kakashi replied, a small smile beneath his mask. "Still, you're making things difficult for me. I'm the one who has to explain all this to the world." "Hee, thanks, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto said innocently. "No sympathy, maybe I'll retire early and let Sakura or Shikamaru take over," Kakashi joked. "What? They don't even want to be Hokage," Naruto shouted. "I've wanted to be Hokage since I understood what it meant." "You're still technically a genin," Kakashi replied. Naruto glared, but they both soon laughed. Even behind his mask, Kakashi's smile was clear. "You always manage the impossible," Kakashi said, looking at the bustling streets below where Kaguya was already drawing attention. "Saving everyone, and even bringing a goddess along as an ally. You've grown a lot since being tied to a log," Kakashi teased. "Don't remind me," Naruto laughed. "But yeah, I've come a long way." "Just a little," Kakashi admitted, then sighed. "We've got a long day ahead." "Food first," Naruto suggested. "I don't have money, though." "I've got it," Kakashi said, leading him to Ikaraku. They ate, as always, welcomed warmly by Kyuchai and Iame. By the second bowl, a strange tension prickled their instincts. A space-time rift opened above, and Kaguya fell gently onto the seat beside them. "Your people are endlessly curious," she muttered, resting her hand on the table. Neither could warn her that visitors from other villages were soon to arrive. For now, they offered her food, and she accepted, tasting flavors she hadn't experienced in ages. Naruto's grin was wide, pleased to see her delight. Kakashi watched them both, seeing in their energy the warmth and balance of sun and moon, and knew the world was in capable hands.